Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Kiddushin daf Samach Hey. We are going to begin on Samach Hey with Alf, about 8 lines from the top by the new Mishnah. Says the Masisan, Ha'imul Isha. A person says to a woman, Kiddushtich, I'm married to you. Which is that great? The problem is Vihi Omeris Hello Kiddushtani. It's not true. I'm not married to you. So who Aser B'Krov Seha? So he's believed for himself that now he is ushered to marry her relatives. However, he doesn't have the ability to usher her because he can usher himself, as Rashi says, the Chaticha di Surah b'hoidaso. He's allowed to usher things on himself, but she's going to be mutter because it's not true according to her. However, let's say it's the other way around. He omeres Kiddush Tani. She says we're married. I'm not married to you. So then, who mutter b'krova? It's the same thing, just in reverse. She's ushered to his relatives, but he's mutter to hers. Kiddush Tich. I'm married to you. V'hi omeres lo Kiddush ta elabiti. I'm not married to you except my daughter. So who aser b'krivas gedayla? So since he said that I married you, so therefore he's going to be usher to the relatives of the mother, and the mother is mutter to his relatives. Who mutter b'krayva is katana, ukatana muteres b'krayva. He's mutter in the daughter's relatives, and she is mutter to his relatives. The mother therefore can't aser her daughter. Okay, so the fact that she says lo kiddash elabiti, that you're married to my daughter, so it's great. But the fact that you're married to my daughter, the daughter is still going to be mutter because the mother doesn't have nemanas. Kiddash des bitech, I married your daughter. V'hi omeres lo kiddash elosi, you married me. Suhu aser b'krayvus katana, similar case. So the man, since he said, I'm married to your daughter, he's aser to marry any of the daughter's relatives. So katana muteres b'krayvav. The katana is mutter to marry any of his relatives because she didn't agree to this. She doesn't think it's true. Hu mutter b'krayvus gedayla. He's allowed to marry the relatives of the mother. However, gedayla, the mother's asur b'krayvav, is aser to marry his relatives, because the mother is saying that you're married to me. So again, that's why the mother's going to be ushered to his relatives. So a lot of this seems quite redundant. So why do we need this first case where he says, I married you, and she says, I'm not married to you? What's a chiddush? Maybe when it comes to him, he may not care, and therefore he just will say it, and he'll be usher to her relatives. The second case where she's the one that said that we're married. If she wasn't confident, she wouldn't say this. And then she'll be usher to all his relatives, Kamash Malon, that we only believe her for herself. Fine. So therefore, we're not going to say, again, that is the... Let's look in the Rashi over here. So, Gabi Didei, first wide line, Ki Omer Kiddash Tich, when he says, I'm married to you, Lumitzer Ihi B'Kroivov, he cannot aser her to his relatives. Mishum di'ihu shikuri mishaker. Maybe the man's lying, but Gabriel ifchasli, he doesn't care. Im oiser atzmi kroivasa chinam. So he says, I don't care. I'm not going to want to marry any of her relatives anyway. I'm doing it to cause her problems. So therefore, he's not going to be believed to be able to. He could be believed to aser himself, but he's not believed to aser her to his relatives. However, the other way around, maybe not. When she says, no, I'm married to you, the Asr Nasha Koyalma. And this is interesting. Rashi says this, and the Gemara is not so clear. But a man can have more than one wife. So he can say, okay, fine, but you can always marry someone else. But by her saying this, she's answering herself to everyone in the world that she can get until she gets a get. Ilav the kimle the kaddish will have the amra. V'titzer ihi al piha. Bikrav says she's not going to do this. She's not going to say something like this. She's going to answer herself. So maybe her words have more nemanas, and therefore we say we only believe her for herself, but not to be able to answer him to her relatives. So the third case was where he says, I'm married to you, and she says, no, I'm not married to you, but you're married to my daughter. So the father is believed to answer the daughter. When it comes to dinner de Rabbanan, like we find Kiddushin de Rabbanan in the absence of the father, so in that situation, so v'titzer barta b'dibura, maybe the mother's testimony saying that you're really married to my daughter should be enough to actually answer the daughter to his relatives, Kamash Mulan, and the Chiddush is the Katan is Muteres B'Kroivav. Kiddush is B'Tech V'Chulu, and then we send the other way around, except we only mentioned, we send the case of you're not married to my daughter, you're married to me, so Hasulamli. The word says, okay, fine. On that it's I did the Tana. I did Tani Ha, Taninami Ha. There may actually be a finish in that last part. Okay. Okay. Just looking over here. Good. So, fine. So now Idmar. Now we have a machlokas. Rav Omer kaifin, Ushmo Omer mevakshin. One says kaifin, we force. What does that mean? Says Rashi, kaifin litin lo get. We force the man to give her a get. Or maybe we're mavakish. We ask, could you do me a favor to get out of this whole mess? Give a get. So the question is, what of these cases are we talking about? Aheo, which case is this? Ilema Reisha, if we're talking about the first case where he says we're married, and she's not married, she said I'm not married, love kaifanika v'lumavakshanika. We're not going to force her, we're not even going to mention a request, because she doesn't need a get, because we said that she's mutter b'kraivav. He says we're married, she says no, so she's mutter to marry whoever she wants. He doesn't have nemanas to answer her at all, so there's no need to give a get in that case. Can't be that case. Ella seifa. When we use the language seifa, here we're referring to the second case, where she says to him, I'm married to you, and he says no. So maybe we're going to ask him, you know what, or force him to give a get. Now, Bishlam Mavakshin L'chai. You're doing her a nice thing by giving her a get. Ella kaifin amai. Why should we force him? He didn't do anything. She brought it upon herself. Amr lo nichali did itzer bekriva. Right now, I'm mutter to marry her relatives. So if I give her a get, and all of a sudden I'm going to end up not being able to marry her relatives, why would I want to put myself into that position? She's the one that put herself into this situation, so why should I have to get her out of it? It's one thing if I'm just being nice, but why should you force me to do something which is going to end up potentially being detrimental? Because once it gets given, then you certainly can't marry them anymore. It's achas gerushasai. Ella shmaisisa adadi. We say no. Indeed, it's actually the second case. That's what we say. It has to be the second case. Okay? Rashi says, Lo lachlik zil zilboy elo haisav acharin mashul apirish arishain. Okay. Elo seifa. The Amr Kiddush Tia, that she says, I'm married, the boy get. Which is an unbelievable chiddush that for some reason we still force him. Okay. Idmar. Omer Shmuel Mavashim Menelitin get. We ask him to give a get. Omer Rav. Im Nasan get mi'atzmo, if he gave the get without being asked. Kaifin also litain. So this is how you read it. El Shmaisa Hadadi Idmar. Notice you have to actually read them together. Omer Shmuel Mavashim Menelitin get. We ask him to give a get. Omer Rav. Im Nasan get ma'atzmo. If the man gave the get without being asked, then Kaifin also litain ksuba. Then we will force him to give a ksuba. Itmar nam yomi Rav achabarado Rav. Yarmo, some say it was Rav Barado, Rav Hamnuda, Rav Kaivin Mavakshin. So Tarti, how could you force and request? Chachkamer. Mavakshin Mimanu, we can get. We ask him to give a get. V'im Nasim Atzma, give it himself without being asked. Kaivin also we think Suba. Okay, because the fact that he did it by himself, that gives some type of indication. Says Rashi, Shul Bakshu Kaivin Lo Yisli think Suba. The Goli Daite. The Kacham, the Asur Lo Yeshuk Suba. It must be, why did he do it? It must be the fact that he didn't even love being asked is because he really was married to her. Amar Yehuda, Hamekadish be'ed echad ein chayshishin l'kedushav. A person is mekadish, someone with only one witness. We're not chayshish that type of a kedushin. L'chara means that it's not a good kedushin. B'minei Rabbi Yehuda, shneihim moedimai. What if both the man and the woman agree to the testimony of this one witness? So why do we say ein chayshishin? Maybe the only reason is because we're concerned that one is saying yes, one is saying no. But in this situation where they both agree, maybe that one is enough. Marriage is in, yeah, below, no. It was weak in his hands. He didn't really know. It's a good question. It's nothing. However, maybe it's different if they both agree. No. Even if both of them agree, it doesn't matter. Okay. Esve. So I asked the question, Rabbi Rav Nachman. Isha, a person says to a woman, Kiddushin, our Mishnah, I'm married to you. Lo Kiddushtani. No, we're not married. To us, to her relatives. And he's mutter to his she's mutter to his relatives. Now, if they're actually witnesses that there was two witnesses that they saw that they were, it's a wedding and a whole thing. Why would she be mutter to the kroivim? Now, if there's no witnesses at all, why should he be usher to his kroivim? He just said some silly statement, but there's not even a single witness to substantiate it. Our mission is talking about a situation of an eid echad, right? And the chiddush is that even though there's one witness is enough to aser. No, how come I skin? So that's not a rai or a kasha. How come I skin could go into Kiddushin? The way he said it was, I am married to you, and it was bifnei ploini, in front of two witnesses. So produce those witnesses. One slight problem. They're not here anymore. And since they're not here anymore, so therefore it's based on our own testimony. But I'm saying that we were married in front of two valid witnesses. They're just not here. They're gone. They'll never be back. But if there's a case of one witness, then maybe one witness is actually not enough. Okay? That's what we're saying. One witness may not be good. It says Rashi, in the Kasha Allah be'ed echad, the Katani hu aser b'krovaseha. Even with one witness, he's still aser to her relatives. Alma zeh shemoidelo nesar, the one who admits is aser. The chashiv was husei kedushin kamei. So maybe when they both admit with one witness, it's a good kedushin. The answer is no. We're not talking about that. We're talking about there was two witnesses in our Mishnah, but they're just not here anymore. So in this, the Gemara asks, a person divorces his wife, and then Velonima b'pundaki, and now all of a sudden they're sleeping, in a hotel, and even after some time has transpired. You do not need a second get. You need a second get. What exactly is going on over here? So if there was witnesses that he was mekadesh her with Bia in this hotel, so my Tamad Beis Shammai. Why would Beis Shammai say you do not need a second get? They're married. V'idaleka Edim, if there was no witnesses at all, so my Tamad Beis Hillel. Right? Why would Beis Hillel say you need a get? El Lav Be'ed Echad. It's we're talking about with one witness, and again, we can ask the question. We see it's. Let's keep it simple. It's a machlokus when it comes to a din of an Eid Echad. So why would you tell me that even Vafil Shnei Moedim, it's nothing? We see it's the Beis Hillel holds it is something. Well, Tamech. So according to your reasoning, Seifa, Moedim, they agree. Beis Shammai Beis Hillel do. But it's Garshim and Erison. If let's say their divorce took place only after the engagement, which means they never had consummated the marriage, never had bia together, and then they're in this pundaki together. Shen srichim to get sheni. You don't need a second get. Why? because since they never had tashmish with one another before, so therefore there is a smaller likelihood that it actually happened. Now, 1 second. If one witness is believed, there's one witness that actually witnessed the bia, let's say, Mali, or Yichud, as we'll see, Mali min eris and Mali min asuin. Why are we making a difference between Nisuin and Erison? If there's an aide that saw this Maisa in front of him, that's it. Who cares? And say, oh no, Liba Gaspa. What do you mean? Ain't Liba Gaspa. Obviously, the Machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel has nothing to do with one witness, because otherwise, why would there be a distinction between Erison and Nisuin? We're talking about a situation where there was only Edi Yichud and not Edi Bia. That's what it's referring to. So what? Says with famous Machlokas Samachem and Beis Amrinan. So according to one opinion, Beis Shammai Savri, Beis Shammai say lo Amrinan Hin Yichud Hin Bia. The fact that they were miyachad doesn't mean they had bia, so you don't need a second get. Beis Hillel Savri Amrinan Hin Yichud Bia. Fine. However, Umaydim Vadai, even Beis Hillel agree. Miskarshim and Erison, when they were divorced from Erison, the fact that they were together alone doesn't mean anything. Libo Gaspa, because they were again in Libo Gaspa. Okay, hold off for 1 second. Let's look at question 1. Be'eza mikra oimer rav de hadin kaifan mavakshin. My ain eno tarti de sasri. So we said a case of where we should have done this before. She says we're married, and he says he doesn't agree. We want to give her get, because right now she's in a state of her saying that she is married to someone, so we ask him to give a get. And and if he gives it himself to her, then then in that situation we force him to give a ksuba. So let me just see where this is. Number 1. Why I didn't mark this in my Gemara from a while ago. Im nosen get ma'atzma kaifen oisalitin ksuba. Okay. Question 2. Hamigarish is ishto v'lonim b'punduk imakim mifli be'sham beis Hillel im tzrichem enu get. The is oifen moidim umatam. So they argue whether Edi Yichud is Edi Bia. And again, from Erison, they all agree because Liba Gospel. That's question 2, which I also for some reason did not mark down, which is not very typical of me. We'll just mark this down. Bisol says Hein Edi Yichud, Hein Edi Bia. However, they'll agree Miskarshim and Erison. Deloy Amrinan, Hein Edi Yichud, Hein Edi Bia. V'nish Ein Liba Gospel. Okay, fine. See if there's another question here. Question TB3. My time to mandemer hamikadish be'ed echad ein chayshel kedushin avil shnei moedim. Why not? So why do they not believe? So ein oimrim haydas baldin k'mei edim dami. I'm not sure this is correct. This is what I wrote. But malkum shechavel acherim kamo hacham emnei shehi shehem oimrim. Okay, I'm not sure if we did that yet. We'll have to see. Okay, bye. So the Gemara says as follows: Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Martel Mishmei de Rav. So this was said in the name of Rav. Hamikadish be'ed echad. If you're Mekadish with one witness, ein chayshin l'kedusha. It's nothing. If they both agree. The man and the woman. If you're Mekadosh woman with one witness, Beidina Rabba Amri Ein Choshen Kedushav. The great Beis Din says it's nothing. So Man Beidina Rabba, who's that? Rav. V'ikadi Amri, some say it was Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna Amar Rav Hamekadosh Beid Echad. If you're Mekadosh with one witness, Beidina Rabba Amri Ein Choshen Kedushav. It's nothing. Man Beidina Rabba Rebbe. Oh, Ma Beidina Rabba Rebbe. It was actually the Beis Din of Rabbi. Okay. So Mesif Rav Ach Davoy Bar Ami. So he asked the following question. Shnayim Shabo Mivdina Siyam. You have two people that come from across the country, from another sea, from across the seas. The Isha Imahem, and there's also a woman together with these two guys. The Chavila Imahem, and there's some type of bundle. Zaymer Zu Ishti, V'Ze'avdi V'Zu Chavilasi. This guy says, "How you doing? This is my wife. This is my slave, and this is my stuff." Zaymer Zu Ishti V'Ze'avdi V'Zu Chavilasi. So they're really arguing over here. Each one is claiming that this woman is their wife, and each one is claiming this other guy's their slave. And the woman says that these both guys are my slaves. So what do we do? So first of all, in this situation, we're going to require two gittin. Says Rashi, and she'll collect the ksuba from this bundle. Now, in order to collect from the chavila, which is the ksuba, she needs to be able to get a get. Says Rashi, the truth is, this chavila will stay ad shiyav Eliyahu, because we don't know its status. Unless both of them will give a get, mi'atzman from their own. By get and therefore the idea is that if they both give the get, so then mamanavshach, that's going to end up going to her. It's either this is married to this guy or married to this guy, and therefore this is the ksuba. So that's what it's talking about. So she needs two gittin in order to collect her ksuba. Now, hechidami, what's going on in this case? If both of these guys are able to produce witnesses, can she say how can she possibly say these are my two slaves? You have two witnesses saying that you're married. Okay, you have two other witnesses saying you're married to the other guy, but for you to say against all these witnesses that you're not married, but they're your slaves, hard to understand. Maybe we're talking about a case of Eid Echad. So we're talking about a case of Eid Echad. We see that, again, it's not so pashut that what the din is. So again, this is again, how could you say in Chayshin L'Kedushav, right? Why would you need to give gittin? But Tizbra Eid Echad b'hachasha mi mehiman. So we're not talking about one witness. We're talking about he has one witness and the other guy has one witness. This is Eid Hachasha. These are contradictory testimonies. So why would they be believed? If there is this situation, there would be no question that she's mutter, because we said in Chayshel Kiddushin. V'hacha hachi kaimer. This is what this case is talking about. Sricha shnei gittin. You need to get in kedei ligvos ksubasam and chavila in order for it to collect from a chavila. What's the whole chiddush? That normally we would say, some people say that a ksuba is only what's connected to the ksuba karka. No, according to Rabbi, he holds even metaltas v'shubal ksuba. That's the whole chiddush over here. That's it. So the only purpose of the get is for her to collect the ksuba, and this chavila, which is metaltalin, is connected to her ksuba. So my havala. So what is the outcome here? Rav Kahana Eimer Ein Chayshel Kedusha, Rav Papa Eimer Chayshel Kedusha. So again, it's a machlokus when it comes to one witness. Normally, Rav Ashi, Rav Kahana, my daitech. He says, what are you thinking? What is the reason why you, Rav Kahana, feel that it's not a good Kiddushin? The Yalf Dover Memamon? Is it because you require two witnesses because you learn out a Gzer Shava from Mammon? And just like money, to take money, you need two witnesses. So too, here you need two witnesses. If you want to compare it to the case of money, Malohol and Hodos Baldin Kmei Edom Dami, Avkan Hodos Baldin Kmei Edom Dami, right? Should be the same thing. When a man and a woman agree they're married with one witness, they should be believed. And it should be Kiddushin through Hodos Baldin. Normally, no. Hasam Lo Kachai V'Achrini. When it comes to Mammon, and I think maybe this is what I was trying to get at question TB 3 over here. My time of the Amr Hamakadish be'ed echad ein chaysh l'kedusha b'afil shnei moedim. So I think that's actually a beautiful way I answered it, because it's chav la'achrini, right? It's not a situation where it's just a pashut situation, because now you're causing problems for someone else. So since, even though it's fine, when it comes to Mammon, you can maybe say Hodos Maldin Kmei Edom Dami. But you can't say that when it comes to its Chav Lachrini. Because how did I write it over here? Hacham Imnei Shehem Oimrim Moidim Shehem Mekadeshes Liyachol Nacherem Oid Lakadish La. No one else is able to marry her afterwards. Interesting. Okay. So that's the point. Marzutra Rav Ada Saba B'nei the Rav Mori Bar Isar Polig Nechasaihu Bahadi Adadi. They divided their assets among each other. Also coming to Rav Ashi Amrulei Al Pi Shnei Eidim Amar Rachmana. The Torah says 2 witnesses, says Rashi. Shesricha Torah, you need 2 witnesses. Why do you need witnesses for? Mishum Di'iboy Lemehedar, because maybe you'll retract. V'loimer Lo Kachoy, this is not it. Lo Yachol Loimer Kain. You won't be able to say it if you have 2 witnesses. So maybe that's the whole reason why the Torah requires 2 witnesses. So back in the Gemara, if one wishes to retract, you can only retract. We're not going to retract, so maybe we don't need witnesses. Maybe in order, even if we both agree, and we're not going to disagree, and we're both good people, but maybe it's just a legality. You need to have 2 witnesses in order for it to work. And therefore, even us that we're both agreeing and will never retract, maybe we still need witnesses. The whole purpose of the witnesses are only for liars. And therefore, you really are not in need of them. Okay. Amr Bai. Amrlo ate echad. If one witness says, Achalta chelev, I know you ate fats. So what? So Rash, which is forbidden. Rash says b'shagig v'chayav atav carbon. You have to bring a carbon. V'hala shaisik, and you're quiet. You don't say anything. You have one witness that says you are chayav a carbon, and you said nothing. So now, in that situation, that one witness is believed, and therefore the carbon can be brought, and it's not considered to be an issue. It's considered to be a good carbon. The Tanatuna, and we have a Tana that learns like this. If you contradict and say, no, it's not true, I never ate it, so you're potter. Now, it's only because you said no. But if you were silent, then you would be believed, and therefore you would bring a carbon. By another case. You made impure the items that are pure. And he was quiet. So now he's believed this one witness. One says that all your things that became tamei, they did not become tamei. We can say on the side a different girsa. Potter. Now, time of the armor low. It's only because he said no, they're not tamei. But if he was silent, then it would be tamei. That's the second case. The third case, as we continue to Samach Bel Shorcha nearby. Your ox was nearby, which cohabited, and therefore Rashi is also a carbon. So shouldn't it get killed? Rashi is avol cyclo trebi'inan. You definitely need 2 witnesses when it comes to that. Diamar kamisas abam kach misas ashor. Just like when it comes to punishing a person by death, you need 2 witnesses. Certainly you need 2 witnesses by the ox too, by a shor niskal, or in this case a shor nirva. But at least it's enough to aser it to become a carbon. Now you can't bring this as a carbon. V'tanatuna, and I'll also again prove this, the same thing. It says v'shne'evdabo avera, where an avera was done to it, ushehemis, and or it killed al pi eid echad with one witness seeing, or al pi abalim, or the owners saw. Neman. Now, hi al pi eid echad hechadam. What does that mean with one witness? The husband admits to, the man agrees, the owner of the ox, to it. Hainu al pi abalim. It's the same thing as the owner himself. And again, it's considered like hodos baldin kamei edim dam. You can, or mafger your nechasim, whatever it is. El olav the shosik must be used quiet. So now we have three cases. We have the case of the fats, we have the case of making things tameh, and we have the case about shor nirva. Why need all three? It's the same thing, that one witness is believed when the other person is shasik. Diashmina hachamais, the first by chaylev, ilav de kimli benavshe de avid chulin ba'azar lo havi maisa. In order to be, what he's basically is being mechayev him is to have to bring a carbon, and a person's not going to bring a carbon unless he is confident that he actually did it. So therefore, maybe that's why we'll believe this one witness. To say your items are tameh, maybe the only reason why it's quiet, it's not because we actually care what this witness says. Maybe it's not being moided to anything. It's the savar chazi lei be made to mato. Big deal. I'm tummy anyway, right? I'm tummy half the time, and I'll eat that food then. So it's not really a big loss. So maybe it doesn't really prove anything. Yeah, but the fact is, you're admitting to something, because why would you limit yourself that you can only eat it while you're tummy? So it must be, in that case, this aid actually has some belief. When it comes to your ox, to say that, this ox was nirva, now it's not going to be killed, so there's no financial loss. The only thing is you can't bring as a carbon. Okay, I'm not going to bring as a carbon. I wasn't planning to bring as a carbon anyway. Sricha, that's why all these three cases are mentioned. Okay, we're going to stop here. Let's look at question 3, which I also didn't mark down. Eid echad oimer lo sharcha nirba v'halei shaisik ha'im neman. Very vague question, but he basically wants you to answer based on Rashi. Well, your neman la'aser la'carbon. However, for skila, there is not neman because, again, you would need 2 witnesses. Adkan.